Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Tuesday night. And like every other night, there is so much to break down for you. Tonight, that new research just in. Amid fears people were getting coronavirus twice, testing positive a second time. Now comes news they believe the testing was flawed. They believe those tests were picking up something in the body, dead cells, from the first fight against the virus. And what they now believe that those people were not infectious. What this could now mean, no promise you can't get it a second time down the road, but researchers say that is not what was happening here. Also, President Trump tonight now defending his decision to take hydroxychloroquine, even though the FDA has warned Americans not to take it for COVID unless you're in the hospital or a clinical trial. And as the entire country is now set to reopen, differing speeds depending on where you are, a reminder Americans are still fighting this. The healthcare workers are still hard at work. Tonight, more than 91,000 lives now lost here in the U.S. The reopening of the country, Connecticut, the last of the 50 states to ease restrictions, shops, restaurants, and offices starting to open tomorrow. In parts of New York State, some workers are back on the job tonight. The governor now allowing Memorial Day gatherings of up to 10 people. California's governor easing restrictions for some retail as early as June. And new concern tonight about children and the virus. This evening, at least 4 children have now died, this time a 15-year-old. Cases found in at least 25 states. So we will get to it all tonight, but we're going to begin this evening with news from South Korea, where at first they thought some people were getting infected for a second time. They no longer believe that's the case. We begin with ABC's Alex Perez on that and the race for a vaccine tonight.
Tonight, an encouraging turn in the battle against the pandemic after fears that virus patients in South Korea had gotten it a second time. The South Korean CDC thinks it's likely that people cannot be infected twice. But that conclusion is still preliminary, and they don't know how long that immunity would last. Those scientists pointing to those relapsing cases, now saying they were actually due to testing failures.
These results are very encouraging and should be very reassuring to the public that once you get infected with COVID-19, it's unlikely that you're going to get infected again.
277 recovered South Korean patients had tested positive for a second time, along with patients in China and Japan. This prompted fears the virus was mutating so quickly that people were not immune to catching it again. The South Korean CDC calling those test results false positives. In addition, they're saying those patients were no longer infectious because the traces of the virus detected were actually harmless dead samples. Tonight, the race to find a vaccine to prevent the spread is on. Pharmaceutical giant Pfizer is running Operation Lightspeed. Phase 1 and Phase 2 trials underway simultaneously. 330 people getting the experimental vaccine at the University of Maryland, NYU, and in Germany.
We're just throwing everything we have at it to make it happen.
At this plant in Kalamazoo, Michigan, manufacturing is ramping up even before having the vaccine. 75 workers are essentially sequestered, working around the clock, so once it's developed.
The goal is to have 10 million doses available commercially by year end.
And in 2021, they hope to manufacture 200 million doses. But there are major challenges in handling the vaccine that are still being worked on.
We have to be able to freeze it, handle it under frozen conditions, so we have people working to design a facility to do that.
Alex with us live tonight, and promising news there on a hunt for a vaccine. Also, that promising news out of South Korea at the top of your piece, where we know they were worried about people getting reinfected or infected a second time. They're now saying those positive test results did not mean that they were actually infectious. It was picking up evidence in the body from the first fight against the infection.
Yeah, that's right, David. And those results are so promising that authorities in South Korea are actually removing their requirement that people who have had COVID-19 must test negative before returning to school or work. So that requirement, they're now doing away with it. David?
Again, no promise how long that immunity could last, but it is a promising development. Alex, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.